Some say integrity is how we act when no one's watching. Doing what's right because it's the right thing to do requires a sense of honor, in which one's moral code is elevated above one's personal interests. In this episode, we're talking about honor and how societies are shaped not just by how they define honor, but by how well they adhere to it. We'll also present our POC Top 3 and some delightfully stupid news you can't use. That's all coming up on The Physics of Civics. Well, Jay, honor is a powerful motivator. I mean, the fact that people will sacrifice their own self-interest for the sake of a cause or an ideal is kind of remarkable, don't you think? And I think unique among the animal kingdom.
Part of being a civil society, right?
I think, yeah. And it seems particularly strong motivator among people like soldiers, moms, medical professionals, generally those in whom we entrust our lives and our well-being. And I suppose because there's so much at stake. For example, the unofficial motto of the 397th U.S. Army Regiment, what's on their insignia there, is death before dishonor, meaning they would sooner die than do anything dishonorable.
Dishonorable, yeah.
That's quite a commitment.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot anymore.
Not so much.
Welcome to the Physics of Civics, where free speech is still free. Like, follow, share, and subscribe for valuable insights. This episode of the Physics of Civics is brought to you by Savage Soaps. Shop SavageSoaps.com for luxurious, all-natural soaps and other skin-loving products for men and women. All made right here in America from sustainably sourced, plant-based ingredients. Get wet with Savage.
Honor is also in many ways the glue that holds free civil society together. I mean, let's face it, left to ourselves, with nothing but our own self-interests, we humans are capable of all sorts of nasty and treacherous and destructive behavior. And unless our behavior is constrained somehow, society quickly reverts to the law of the jungle, wherein the strong subjugate the weak and the few benefit while the many suffer. I mean, like it or not, that's kind of just a fact of human nature. But constraining behavior can only happen in one of two ways. Either we, as conscientious members of society, take it upon ourselves to adopt certain standards of behavior and to live by them. Or those standards must be imposed from without, typically in the form of laws and law enforcement. In the process, we relinquish a certain measure of our freedom and autonomy to government. Those are the only two ways. And it seems to me that if one wanted the government to assume absolute control over a society, one way to start would be by having that society descend into lawlessness.
Right.
Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think about that. John Adams, one of our founding fathers, famously said, quote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." End quote. In other words, for a society to be truly free, there must be, along with the rule of law, a cohesive honor system to which a people will freely and voluntarily adhere.
Right.
And of course, different societies define concepts of good behavior and honor in different ways.
I think we should point out at this point that honor can manifest itself differently across cultures and groups of people within a culture, right?
Right. Subgroups, sub-societies, right.
So we're talking about how important honor is to a civil society. But often honor inspires, admirable traits like we're talking about loyalty, courage, integrity. But when you push honor to its extremes, it can justify violence in many cultures. And I mean, we can look at
ours included.
Ours definitely included. And if we look at a couple of examples, we've all heard of the honor killings, which are predominant in the Middle East, but in other parts of the world as well. But we hear about it a lot in the Middle East. That illustrates a dark side of honor. Often
Right.
young women, and I happened to see a show recently on this. A woman, it was a news show, was a young woman, 19 years old, was killed by her parents together. Often it's young women in these cultures who are the victims, and they're often murdered by their fathers or their brothers.
Right. Family members. Typically
Typically male family members. And it can be for something which seems so insignificant to us, such as, dating. If a woman's dating without approval.
There's ways and ways of doing it. If they do it wrong,
Yeah.
they could be in trouble.
And in that part of that culture, it's all about arranged marriages. And if a woman decides, I don't want to marry this person, that can be another strike against her. Or if she's sexually assaulted, believe it or not. Because it embarrasses the family, they think the only way to regain that virtue, that honor, is to kill her. It's crazy.
Nuts.
Now, this is illegal in most of these countries, but there's very weak enforcements in some areas. Also, there's a cultural kind of acceptance, a leniency towards these actions. It's like, yeah, well,
Right.
we have to get our honor back for our family, so she's got to die. It's absolutely crazy. Another example, Phil, is the Japanese kamikaze pilots in World War II. These were mostly very young kids, really, late teens, early 20s, who would get into a plane packed full of explosives and crash it into an American warship.
Right. And this was coming towards the end of World War II, a real desperation move.
It was a desperation move. They were running out of options. They were losing the war. Was not looking good for Japan. To these young men, this was the pinnacle of honor.
Yeah, right.
The samurai code. It was a total and complete devotion to the emperor. They believed that dying for their country wasn't just brave. It was the only way to protect Japan. And finally, we have the current day example of really the same playbook, the Al-Qaedas and the ISIS and the Hamases who recruit these suicide bombers.
Right.
And often they're children and women who see themselves as martyrs. They're willing to blow themselves up, whether it's in a market or on a bus or whatever, in a crowd of people. They don't look at it as dying. They look at it as ascending, into paradise and again, being a martyr for their cause. So honor it can inspire profound nobility, but it can also create devastating destruction. And it all depends on how it's defined and enforced. Right. Let us know how you feel about this in the comments.
With that in mind, it's kind of odd to think that completely opposite types of behaviors are both done for the sake of honor.
For the sake of honor.
That whole term, honor, being the nebulous kind of term that it is, you start by understanding that that honor itself is defined by the standards it embraces. Let's talk about what it consists of. First of all, honor requires people to think beyond themselves toward a higher purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's one thing that they all have in common. And for that, we first need to acknowledge that there is a higher purpose. For folks like Al-Qaeda, ISIS,
terrorists,
they're driven by religion, or they believe they are. There's a debate on whether Islam really calls for that, but they believe it.
They believe it. That's all that matters.
But they believe that they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing this for Allah. And for the religious, that bigger something is God, the unseen, eternal source of all that is good. Non-religious people will use different formulations to arrive at that higher purpose. But the point is that as a society, we all acknowledge and submit to a moral authority beyond ourselves. Why is that important? Well, because those who consider themselves to be the highest authority are typically the problem. I mean, let's call it what it is. Such people will abandon loyalty to other causes, other people, and pursue their own interests. If I define what's right, I want to do what's right. If I define what's right as what's right for me, well, that gives me license to do anything I want to anybody.
Yeah.
And be fine with it. That to me is the opposite of honor.
It is the opposite.
So along with recognizing a higher authority, you set forth certain moral imperatives, these principles behind the commitment to do what's right. And again, faith communities have very definite ideas on what those morals are. But one doesn't have to be religious to have them, as you pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you go in the world or in history, it seems the same kinds of things are consistently considered to be right and to be wrong. Love, generosity, trust, etc. These are all pretty universally thought of as good, while murder, theft, greed, etc., these are kind of universally considered bad. And we humans all seem to share that same basic sense of good and evil, justice and injustice, right and wrong, etc.
Yeah, and it goes back as far as written history exists. So we don't even know how much further beyond written history it may. It seems that that's kind of how humans developed a society, is through an understanding of honor.
Right. How civilizations were set up to begin with.
Exactly.
And now these moral principles then give rise to codes of conduct. You know, the practical level. What are the things that we can do, the things we must do, the things we must never do?
The 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments, Hammurabi Code, the
Right.
Tao Te Ching. Any society has these. For it to be really honor, it has to be internalized and adopted so that they are self-enforced. You know, no one needs to impose rules on us when we willingly observe them. The Bible talks about having the law written on your heart, kind of a mindset of selflessness that says, my life and my well-being are important, but they're not as important as family, as community, as country, you know, as God, etc.
So why do we put honor above our own self-interest? I think at its core, honor is what lets us put something bigger than ourselves first. That's kind of the point you were just making. And that starts with trust. Without trust, a free society just will really crumble. We need that quiet confidence that the people around us aren't going to screw us over the second we turn our backs. So that's really where the trust comes in.
Right. Now, we don't just trust everybody and anybody.
No.
But as a general rule, we go through our lives with a level of trust in our fellow man.
And the second is respect. When you do the right thing, you sleep at night, you feel good about yourself, you have a clear conscience, and spotting the same integrity in other people is magnetic, really.
It really is.
It pulls us together. It makes us one as a culture, as a society, as a civilization. And then you mentioned faith. You know, whether it's religious or just a personal code, choosing to live by principles really is what keeps us anchored. We all have that. We all are raised to have principles, most of us from a religious standpoint. And as you mentioned a little earlier, Phil, essentially every known religion starts out with a code of conduct, a code of honor, what you're expected as a human to do within your group, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And you've got reputation, which ties it all kind of together. It's your credit score, or whether, you know, you're interviewing for a job.
Right, real practical stuff.
Practical day-to-day stuff to develop a personal reputation. The reputation illustrates how honorable you are.
Or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
Of course, you got the golden rule, which is that you treat people the way you'd want to be treated. So the bottom line is that honor protects freedom, I think. You must be honorable to have freedom. If you can't self-regulate, if we ditch all those guardrails, guess who steps in with the rule book?
The government?
The government, right.
The man?
Honor isn't some, you know, dusty old relic. It's really the glue that keeps us free, connected, and human.
I think so. Let's talk about our day and time here in America. America is really the first country ever to be founded on principles. Most countries have been founded on conquests or other demographic, language, territory, that sort of thing. America was founded on principles, and there have been others that have since then, but in today's society, we still tend to operate on many of those same fundamental principles, which is a good thing. That said, let's not kid ourselves into thinking that America has always been this bastion of honor and goodness. You know, we certainly have a long and quite disturbing record, to say the least, of a lot of rotten people doing a lot of rotten things.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, America is really no different from every other society ever.
Yeah. Or government, yeah.
What is different is that America seems to, wake up at various times and realize, hey, that isn't right. Collectively. And we do something about it.
Yeah.
I think that being a free people has given us a good deal more clarity to see these things for what they are and more flexibility to kind of adjust and correct them. It's not a perfect system, but it is a viable one. And I think we're seeing, some big corrections being made in our time.
Yeah.
With all that said, there are some definite trends that in recent years have really, not just in recent years, all through our history, have undermined our sense of honor. And one of those things is good old American materialism. We are a prosperous nation, after all. We like lots of stuff. And people often define their status, their importance to society in terms of the stuff they accumulate. Now, there's nothing wrong with having nice stuff, except that materialism tends to foster kind of selfishness and all that comes with it. It's hard to rise above self-interest when you've got so much of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I think materialism does another thing. It creates kind of a certain fatalism or a sense of pointlessness, which is destructive to the idea of honor. It's kind of hard to describe, but when everything is defined in terms of the things that we have
monetary
and the
value,
material things, and those who accumulate things often suppose that this is what's going to make them happy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are raised thinking that to be happy, you have to be wealthy and have a lot of stuff or live the good life. And when they're living the good life, it fosters this feeling of, honor, schmonor, I earned this, and, and I'm entitled to it.
You see it in pop culture. You see it in a lot of different places. But yeah, you're right. Exactly.
By the way, I hope you don't mind my use of the double schmegative. That's a term I made up for things like honor, schmonor.
Okay. I'm writing that down.
Or if
make a note.
We'll do a whole episode on the double schmegative if you like.
I'm making a note here. Got it.
Okay. Or if the other side of it is if they do live the good life and they're somehow still unhappy, where do you go? What do you do?
Yeah, right.
I remember seeing this interview with one of the guitar players for that rock group Poison years ago. Don't remember his name, but he was talking about living in his Malibu mansion and waking up in the morning and wondering, and he says, here I am, I've got everything. I've got money, I got fame, I've got women, I got drugs, I got everything. And he wakes up in the morning thinking, kill myself?
Wow.
Or don't kill myself.
Yeah. It's sad, but you do see that.
You do.
In pop
and
culture,
people can have everything that the rest of us could only dream about and not be happy.
Not be happy.
On the other side of the coin there are the have-nots, the people who don't have a lot of stuff, often look at the haves and think, well, they're happy. Why not me? That often fosters envy, resentment. Either way, honor and morality end up taking a backseat to pure self-interest. Right?
Right.
Now, Jay, you're familiar with the Karens phenomenon, right?
Yeah.
You know any Karens?
I know. I've run into a few. I'm not going to say I know any personally, but yes.
I have a friend who is definitely a Karen, and honestly, her name is Karen.
Of course it is.
And these people, she's in her own way a lovely person, but these people, and it's particularly women who exhibit an inflated self-importance and entitlement. And where does honor figure in all of that?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Another phenomenon in our time that seems to undermine honor is this celebrity worship. We see it all the time, where we attribute far more value and virtue to famous people than they could possibly ever merit.
Right.
We look up to them. We want to be like them. We often delude ourselves into thinking that we know them, that we're part of their life. We're not.
And with the advent of social media, I think you've got more and more than we've ever had before.
Yeah,
You know?
it's reaching ridiculous
It's just-
proportion. Honestly, Jay, taking our moral cues from some of the most immoral people in society
It's not
is
a good
not
sign.
conducive to any sense of honor that I'm familiar
No,
with.
absolutely.
Although I do think that trend may be somewhat on the decline. I think people aren't quite so impressed by celebrities
I think it's changing.
anymore.
I think you're
You
right.
know? And I think part of that is the social media phenomenon where everybody's got their 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And the people who are, you know, the famous, you know, so what?
Yeah.
But here's another little phenomenon that seems to undermine our sense of honor. When we discover that our heroes are not what they claim to be. And, you know, there's no shortage of scandals in Washington and Hollywood and elsewhere.
So true.
And
Epstein.
and the Epstein scandal. I mean, you could just go down the list.
There's never ending.
Diddy.
Yeah.
He was a very popular dude. And now, the last I heard, he was serving time.
Yeah.
He's kind of the exception in that most of the scandalous behavior seems to go completely unpunished.
Sadly.
People just getting away with stuff that you and I would never get
There's
away
a
with.
million examples, Phil.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got
Yeah.
football players who've been accused of murder and drugged and, you know,
And sexual assault.
They missed
and all
2
this
games.
Stuff. Yeah, they get a slap on the wrist.
and politicians, I mean, yeah, it's never ending.
And this is so destructive to our sense of honor,
Isn't it?
Jay, because it drives cynicism. It excuses bad behavior. Ultimately, what we end up with is a lowering of standards.
Yeah.
And every year we seem to be pushing those standards farther and farther off the map. And we end up with things like participation trophies and Nobel Prizes for nothing in particular.
Yes.
and people who say, well, it's not wrong if you get away with it.
Yeah.
Honor is kind of becomes a bad joke. You know, so these are trends that really undermine our sense of honor that need to be, I think, called out and avoided.
How do we get honor back? I mean, how do we steer more in that direction? And we may be. I mean, I kind of feel like in some ways we are.
I think there seems to be a revival of faith in America nowadays, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be most prominent in the Christian community, but others as well. I think that's an important trend. I think people are kind of waking up. Like I say, America tends to wake up to things and say, that's not right. I think of 2 songs that were popular a few years back. One is by John Mayer, whose music I love.
Yeah. It's great.
Where he says he's, quote, waiting on the world to change. Good song.
Mhm.
But then there's the Michael Jackson song where he says he's, quote, starting with the man in the mirror.
Great.
Okay, both are good songs,
Yeah.
but I like Michael Jackson's approach better. Let's stop worrying about making the world a better place and concentrate on making ourselves better people.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
And I think that starts with really embracing and internalizing a sense of honor. Tell us what you think. Give us some comments in the comments section. We want to hear from you. So now, Jay, are you ready for our POC top 3?
Of course I am. As of about 3 minutes ago.
Really? You've got it all picked out? You've got them all? You've got them ranked?
I get them ranked. I'm ranked, all right.
Today's POC top 3 is favorite TV cop shows.
Ah, yeah.
Now, you and I go back a little ways, don't we, Jay?
We do. That's my favorite genre, I think.
But there are some great cop shows on today.
Yeah.
And in every era, there's some good ones. Give me your top 3.
Well, my number 3 is going back, way back to the 70s, and that's Kojak. I enjoyed that show a lot. I thought Telly Savalas did such a cool job of playing that character.
Yeah. Yeah. He was very popular back then.
Yeah, it was a
My goodness.
huge show.
Huge hit.
I mean, it was actually on from 73 to 78. I looked it up and I
Who
just...
loves you, baby? Yeah.
Who loves you, baby? With a sucker in his mouth all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, his brother, George Savalas played one of his fellow cops, which
Stavros.
Yeah, Stavros. And they look totally different. They didn't look like brothers, I don't think. You know?
Stavros at all.
My number 2 is a show that was actually on Amazon called Bosch. Do you ever see it?
No.
It's a good
I'm
cop
not
show,
familiar
man.
with- Bosch?
It was actually on for 7 seasons, and then 2 spinoffs
Really?
came off of it. So it's actually pretty popular. It's very high ratings. Each season essentially covers one murder. So it's about how they catch the murderer, a serial killer or whatever it is. The first season starts out, they find some bones of a child in the Hollywood Hills, and they're trying to solve that case. While this is going on, he's at trial because he killed a suspect. So they're trying to determine whether it was his fault or not. So anyway, it's a good show, man. Check it out if you haven't. It's a guy named Titus Welliver plays Bosch.
All right.
And it was successful
Bosch,
enough that they ran it for 7 seasons. Let's face it, on Amazon, that's a long time.
On Prime, that's pretty good.
And my number one, Phil, what you gonna do when they come for you?
Bad Boys,
Cops,
Bad Boys,
man.
Cops. Great show.
Which of course they canceled at some point.
That was a mainstay on the Fox network when it was first, since it's like first season and for years.
It was their number one show for, I believe,
Yep.
for several years, and then during Obama administration,
like 20 years.
Or maybe it was after that, it was canceled. It wasn't politically correct, so it disappeared. But it's back. I started watching.
Oh, really?
It again.
Cops is back.
I think it's on like the Fox streaming service. What's it called? Fox Nation.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I have that, and I catch that every once in a while.
Well, the thing about Cops is that it's not like people dressing up and playing
Right.
cops and criminals. These are cops and criminals. They got them on the dash cam, and they've got camera operators filming actual arrests and things.
Oh yeah, man! It's a ride along, baby. It's crazy.
Right.
It's some crazy stuff on
and
there.
some of these people are just
I
crazy.
think I'm a YouTube addict, as you are as well. And one of the things I've gone down that rabbit hole lately is watching the interrogation videos. I watched one that last night. Some woman.
Oh yeah.
And she's being interrogated. She killed her husband or something, and she thinks she's going home. It's like, I got news for you, bitch. Getting measured for an orange suit right about now. What are your top 3, buddy?
All right. My number 3 is kind of in the same vein as Cops, only it is scripted. It's just produced to look like it's not scripted. It was back in the 90s. It was called Reno 911. Very popular show. And it was so funny. Well, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
It's kind of a dark, kind of a very dry comedy. But if you want to see a funny routine, go on YouTube and do a search for Reno 911 sobriety test.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. I'm not going to say any more.
All right, I'm going to look it up.
You will laugh your ass off. Number 2 is from the 70s, In the Heat of the Night.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was starring Carol O'Connor.
Archie Bunker. Yeah.
Yeah, Archie Bunker. And now he's playing down in Bottom, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And Virgil Tibbs and all those guys. I thought that was just, I don't know that it like topped the charts or anything like that, but I think, I see it in reruns now, and it's just really well done, and it holds.
And it showed how versatile he was as an actor to go from Archie Bunker to that. I mean,
completely different characters. And his character, I don't remember his character's name.
I don't either. I'm trying to think of it.
But he was the captain in the station, and he was great.
Yeah, and they dealt with a lot of social subjects, racism and so forth in the South. They did it really well, I thought.
Number 1 is Hill Street Blues.
Oh, yes. I've seen you on that show a few times, my friend.
Of course, I have a personal connection to Hill Street. I was, for many years, an extra and a stand-in on that show. I got to know the people, some of them quite well, and I just enjoyed that time. But you watch the show, even today.
Oh, it was a good show.
And it really changed the face of cop shows.
It did.
It was gritty. It was dirty. People, going out of control, and even the good guys sometimes going out of control. So it really dealt honestly.
It led to shows like The Wire and some of those shows where it was so gritty. It was a really ahead of its time, I think, in a lot of in that genre. And I saw your ugly puss on there a few times.
Yeah. In the station during roll call, you see me from time to time. Yeah. Now, my brother will tell you that The Wire is not only the best cop show, but the best TV show.
It was excellent.
He's ever seen. I haven't seen it, so I need to catch up on The Wire.
There's only 2 or 3 shows that have me sitting at the edge of my seat and waiting for the next episode, and that was one. Sopranos is another one where
Yeah.
Every week was like, what's going to happen now?
Those are POC top 3 for this week. Let us know how you feel. If you got any of your own, let's hear them.
How about some news you can use? I've got a story here, Phil. COVID and all that, people on ventilators. It's not uncommon for people to die due to lung issues, right? Not being able to breathe, even from other illnesses. Well, scientists have tested out a new therapy. It's called interior ventilation. Okay. When you're having trouble with your lungs, and what happens a lot of people on ventilators die because their lungs are damaged by the ventilator. You know, because it's such a sensitive thing. So what they do with this new therapy, we'll call it, is they put a liquid in a tube and they put it up your bum and they pump this liquid into your intestines, and there's oxygen infused in the liquid and it goes into your intestines.
So you're getting an oxygen enema.
Oxygen enema.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
There are so many jokes that come to mind.
I was just, there's a couple that I'm just going
to leave them to your imagination.
Well, I think, all kidding aside, it's kind of exciting if there's a new way to infuse oxygen into the body. And I don't know, some people may really enjoy it. Present company excluded.
You ain't right, Jay. Well, that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you joined us. We'd love to hear anything you have to say on any of these topics. Don't forget to like, follow, and share, and hit that subscribe button because we've got lots of great episodes you're not going to want to miss. And we'll see you back here next time on the Physics of Civics.